Welcome to the third part of my series on moving to Washington State. This video is about population growth in Washington and the fastest growing areas. From 2010 to 2020, Washington's population grew at almost twice the nationwide average. Washington grew by 980,000 people, about 15% in 10 years, making it the seventh fastest growing state in the country. In the years following 2020, during the pandemic, growth here did slow down, and I'm going to talk more about that at the end of the video. In the first two videos of this series, we discussed the major regions, geographical features, and weather across the state. If you haven't watched those yet, I recommend that you go back and take a look at those before watching this video, and I am posting links above. Thanks for watching. I am posting new videos every week on life and real estate here in Southwest Washington. Take a moment to subscribe to my channel and turn the bell on for notifications so you don't miss a video. In this video, I'm talking about the cities in Washington State that are experiencing the most growth. I'm interested in knowing which areas are growing the most and also why they are growing so quickly, and that second part is harder to find. So if you live in one of those areas, drop me a line and let me know why you think it's growing so much. The top four areas with the most growth between 2010 and 2020, between those two census dates, are up in the Seattle metro area. It's really no surprise that they are booming, as Seattle is home to big tech companies such as Microsoft, Google, Facebook, Boeing, the list goes on, Amazon, that they're just expanding their workforce and bringing a lot of people in. So over the past 10 years, the city that grew the most was Seattle. Big shocker. Seattle is the biggest city in our state with a population of 741,000 people. In 2010, the population was just over 600,000. Kent added 44,000 people to their population and now has 136,000 residents. Kent is a city in King County and is part of the Seattle-Tacoma metro area. It is the sixth largest city in the state, and obviously it is still growing. Kirkland added 43,000 people and now has 92,000 residents. Kirkland is a suburb of Seattle just across I-90 from the Emerald City. It sits on Lake Washington and is a beautiful town. It is the 12th largest city in the state now. With its waterfront location on Lake Washington, the adorable downtown area, proximity to tech companies like Microsoft, which is right next door in Redmond, it's bound to continue growing. Bellevue added 29,000 residents and now has a population of 151,000. It is just south of Kirkland and is another suburb of Seattle. It is home to lots of tech and boasts fantastic schools, Bell Square, which is famous for its shopping, a lively eating and drinking scene, and a bustling and growing downtown area. Vancouver has added 30,000 residents in the last 10 years and now has a population of 190,000 people. We are the fourth largest city in the state, and I'd like to point out how much our city sprawls versus the density of other cities. People are often surprised to hear how large Vancouver is, and I think population-wise. And I think that's a good thing because it still feels smaller than it really is. Most people moving here have chosen Washington as their new home and appreciate the lower cost of living in Vancouver, as well as proximity to Portland for big city life. Sammamish added 20,000 residents and now has a population of 67,000 people. Sammamish is considered a suburb of Seattle and is ranked as one of the best suburbs in Washington to raise a family in. Tacoma is just south of Seattle on I-5. Tacoma added 20,000 people to their population and now have 219,000 residents. As a slightly more affordable big city to live in than Seattle, it's not uncommon for some people to live in Tacoma and then commute to Seattle. Also, it is located on the Puget Sound and is a pretty gorgeous location. Only one city in Eastern Washington made this list of top 10 cities with fastest growing populations, and that is Spokane. Spokane is located in Eastern Washington and is the second largest city in Washington. Their population grew by 20,000 people in the last 10 years, up to 228,000 residents. I can't resist adding that Spokane has the unique advantage of being within driving distance of Coeur d'Alene. And if you have not spent any time out in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, I highly recommend it. I've spent a lot of time out there. I have family out there, and I would not mind living there myself. You can also check out my video on skiing at the Schweitzer Resort that I did last winter. I'm going to link that one above too. Redmond is another suburb of Seattle and another tech center hub. It's home to Microsoft. They grew by 20,000 people to 73,000 residents in the last 10 years. Number 10 is Burien, and Burien grew by 18,000 to a current population of 52,000. Burien is south of Seattle near the SeaTac Airport. Ridgefield also made the list as their population grew 116% since 2010. Their current population is just over 10,000. There were less than 5,000 people living in Ridgefield 10 years ago, so they have doubled in size and are continuing to grow. A lot of my clients who are drawn to Ridgefield, it's because they're looking for new construction, and it's everywhere out there. Land development seems to be easier out there, and that draws a lot of builders. So new construction, Ridgefield, those two things go together. Where are these people coming from? The top 5 states that people are moving from to come to Washington are Arizona, Idaho, Texas, Oregon, and California. California has the most people moving to Washington, and in 2019, almost 50,000 Californians made Washington home. Oregon sent us the next most people, with about 33,000 Oregonians heading north of the Columbia River to Washington State. At the beginning of this video, I mentioned that Washington's growth has slowed down during the pandemic. It basically leveled out to a net zero population change in 2021. The information I'm sharing next is from the Seattle Times article that was published last winter, and I'm going to link that in the description. In the 2010s, Washington was one of the fastest growing states in the nation. We had a net gain of about 890,000 residents over the course of the decade, which pencils out to a 13% rate of growth. Only 8 states grew faster, but the latest population numbers from the U.S. Census Bureau showed those days are over for now. New data shows Washington's growth slowed dramatically during the pandemic, and in a reversal from the previous decade, we are now no longer gaining residents from other U.S. states. From July 1st, 2020 to July 1st of 2021, Washington's population grew by about 19,900 people for a nominal growth rate of 0.3%. We ranked only in the middle of the pack for growth at 24th among the 50 states. The year before, from July 1st, 2019 to July of 2020, Washington grew by a little more than 100,000 people. The rate of growth was just over 1% that year, which is around 4 times faster than most of the recent numbers. The most surprising number for Washington is the net domestic migration. That is the number of people who moved here minus the number who moved away within the United States. Domestic migration was a big part of Washington's growth before the pandemic took hold. And in 2019 alone, Washington gained 37,000 people through domestic migration. In other words, the number of people who moved to Washington from other states exceeded the number who were moving away by 37,000. Among the 50 states, Washington had the 7th highest domestic migration total from 2010 to 2019 at 336,000 people. As for domestic migration last year, it was basically a wash. The Census Bureau estimates a net loss of 29 people in Washington from domestic migration between 2020 and 2021, but that decline is so small that it's not significant. Even so, it shows that, at least for now, we're not gaining any residents from other states. International migration has also decreased during the pandemic, but Washington still gained a little over 9,000 new residents that way last year. So for comparison's sake, in 2019, that number was about 24,000. The link to this article is in the description below if you want to read more for yourself. Clark County Today had its own article on population growth that was published in July of 2021. It states that over 70% of the state's population growth occurred in the 5 largest metro areas, the 5 largest metropolitan counties: Clark County, King, Pierce, Snohomish, and Spokane. Franklin was the fastest growing county between 2020 and 2021 with almost 3% growth, followed by Clark at 2.7% and Chelan at 2.4%. So while Washington's population growth as a whole is slowing down, it looks like Clark County is still on the rise. So that's an interesting turn of events that King County, where Seattle is, it was not the fastest growing county between 2020 and 2021. I think this makes sense and follows the trend of people moving out of urban, kind of more jam-packed areas to get some more space as work from home options continue to grow. All right, you probably now have more information than you ever needed on population statistics in Washington State. I hope this helps you see all your options when it comes to a place to live here in Washington. My company has realtors all over the state, so if you are looking for a broker recommendation in an area that I don't serve, please don't be shy. I am happy to interview brokers for you and get you in touch with someone who's going to provide you with excellent service. As always, I'm only a phone call away. Feel free to call or text if you want to chat about moving to Southwest Washington. My phone number and email are in the header above and also in the description below.